Hello, Shelora. It's been a while since we've communicated. Thank you for doing this astral interview with me. How are you?
I'm excited about it.
Are you excited about it?
I'm fabulous. Thank you.
So last
I am.
time we communicated, we had astral connections and we had many events happening there. And I remember you came out to do hand readings for us. And are you still doing that? Wonderful, wonderful.
I am.
Wonderful.
I've added other tools to my kit, but also I remember teaching a course there.
That's
in
right.
hand analysis.
On hand analysis,
yeah.
You did.
And you connected me to a bunch of other light workers, and that was all very good.
Thank you. So before we talk a little bit about your hand analysis, let's talk about you. Let's talk about who Shelora is, where she was born, what brought her into the world of hand analysis, what was she doing before that? Give us a little history.
Okay, and I'll include what's happened since too.
Absolutely, we'll get there.
As you know, it keeps evolving. Yeah,
absolutely.
So history. Well, I didn't realize it until I was an adult, but I've been an intuitive all my life.
Right.
And it first really kicked into action when I was in a life-threatening traumatic situation when I was 9. And all of a sudden I just kind of saw this transparent movie in front of me that showed me what was really going on with the person who was attacking me. And I said exactly the right things to escape with my life. And that that moment came directly after I was in the forest, and there was a beam of light shining on me, and there were 2 white butterflies circling in that light. And I went and stood in that beam of light, and it was a moment of grace that has blessed me all my life. I can always go back there. And that's really been the arc of my life. And I'm writing the book, and it's called White Butterflies. So
I remember you telling me about that back then.
I developed, yeah?
Yeah, I remember you telling me that story.
And that, and it's had, like, I've learned so much then about the science of trauma and what it does to your brain and neurophysics and epigenetics and all of these different systems. And I've studied tarot, I've studied astrology, I've studied the I Ching, I've studied biology, and I understand a bit about a lot of things. And A Course in Miracles, of course, I'm sure I've told you about the vision that I had of in Maui of Jesus, praying for us on the night that George Bush Sr. was. I'd love to. Would you like to hear that?
Yes, absolutely. I've heard it before, but I think everyone else should.
Okay, good. And I'd love to tell it. So it's based in a number of miracles. So I connected with my mentor, Sandy Levy-Lundin, in 1989, June, the weekend that the Berlin Wall came down. And I was so taken with her work. She was doing a workshop called The Art of Personal Marketing. And all the spiritual workers in Vancouver were there. It was a room full of 60 people, 7 massage tables, and a grand piano. And she was from San Francisco, and she was a big star. Anyway, I followed her around, wrote down everything. She offered me to write her book for her. I did that. It was published in Sweden. And then she was going to Maui to do a course called Taking Your Place as a Leader in the World for 3 weeks. And I had 2 little girls and a husband who was working full-time. And, you know, the house, the car, and this, it was the perfect life, but it wasn't designed for me to take off for 3 weeks with no one to look after the kids. So I just kind of ignored it. And then 2 days before the course was supposed to start, I just got this message, you're supposed to be there. So I called Sandy, who was living in Sweden at the time, and she said, go see your clients, collect 10 weeks in advance. I'll take that as the down payment. We'll go from there. So I'm on my way out to, it was not Horseshoe Bay, it was Deep Cove, to pick up the advance checks. And I stopped at Church's Chicken, and I got out of the car, and there was a loonie beside the door. So I bent over to pick it up. And as I bent over, I heard a voice say, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. That made sense to me. I didn't question it because that was the same voice that had saved my life, and that's another story. So, so I picked up the loonie and I went on and I got the check and I came home, and my husband said there was a phone call for me, and I called the person, and it was someone who had done one of Sandy's workshops, had signed up for this, taking your place as a leader in the world, changed her mind, already bought her airline ticket, and did I want it? The whole thing, like $5,000, plus the airline ticket for free. Huh. So I said yes, nice. Which gave me, I mean, like, if that's not a sign, I don't know what is. Yeah. So I had to find someone to look after the kids and make a list of everything in their lives. And, you know, the kid's godmother moved in, and my husband just stood back and said, I could never have done this. And I drove down to Seattle, and I'm on the plane next to Sandy. We land in Maui, and Sandy was called magical in San Francisco, and she could do magic. Okay. And so we got off the plane. She said, I want nothing but sunshine and rainbows for the next 3 weeks. And we had that. And we were at a beautiful resort with an 8-person hot tub and the whole 9 yards. And one of those days, they would pass around this little box of pink cards, which I had never heard of. But they said it was a Course in Miracles. And I kept getting the same card, and it was all this scriptural language, and I didn't understand it, and I just pretty much ignored it. But I kept getting the same one. And then we had an out trip to Hana. Have you ever been to Maui, Cheryl?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever been there?
I haven't been there.
It's gorgeous. The furthest you've been is?
Well, I've been to Florida in the U.S., and that's about it. I haven't been anywhere else in the U.S., really.
Okay. Okay. Well, this was life-changing. Right. So there is on the leeward side of the island where the rain comes, there's the drive to Hana. You get a bumper sticker. It's 4 hours there and back. It's switchbacks. It's kind of like the worst part of up to Squamish and Whistler, all packed into one. Cliffs down to the water, 200 miles out to sea, cliffs up, you know, with coconuts and things dropping by the side of the road. And so there was a cavalcade because there were people from Sweden, all over the States, mostly Sweden and the States. And I was in the lead car. Sandy's in the front, our guide's in the driving. I'm behind the driver, and a woman from Sweden is to my right. She was a baroness or something. Anyway, we drive down to the 7 sacred waterfalls, which is lava rock, waterfall, pool, and the last pool big enough to swim in, and then out to the ocean. So it was beautiful. And the 33 of us, magic number, played in this pool, and then we're driving home, and everybody's in that, you know, perfect state of peace that you get after you've had a really full, satisfying day. And we're silent, and we're looking out to sea, and there isn't a cloud in the sky. It's just a beautiful blue sky, and we're gazing out at the ocean. And then from behind the cliff in front of us, a cloud emerges. It looks like a cloud, but not like any cloud I've ever seen, because on it was painted the image of like a little cherub, an angel, and its head, you know, its head was looking up and its wings were on the edge of the cloud. And I'm just thinking, you've lost it now, Shelora. You are cracking up. You are hallucinating. You know, you've been here for 2 weeks and it's November 23rd, and you know, you're going to go home a crazy lady. But I didn't say anything. But fine. So I thought maybe if I close my eyes, it'll go away. And I closed my eyes. I opened them. It's still there. And it's sailing out over the ocean. And everybody else's head is looking too. So I said, I mean, you can see I'm a talker. So I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And so I said, Sandy, do you see what I see? And she said, yes, Shelora, I see the angel.
Wow.
Okay.
You weren't the only one. So you had confirmation.
But that isn't 4 people.
Wow.
At least confirmation from 1. And nobody else said anything. So yeah. So everybody just fell into this deep state of peace and reverence. And we just kept watching, you know, as that cloud sailed away with the angel on it. And it was like painted by a Renaissance master. It wasn't just, you know, an ordinary Hallmark card version.
Right.
If you know what I mean. So it was like the cloud was the canvas. And then it sailed away, nothing, silence. And then a few minutes later, another cloud emerged from behind the cliff. This one was so immense, it was like shaped like a rune stone. And it was like, you know, straight sides with curved corners. And there was a painting on this one of the master teacher, Jesus.
Wow.
And he was turned 3/4.
Wow.
His hands were together. He was praying. You know, his long curly hair, hazel eyes, olive skin, just like, so, you know, person of color, but rock star handsome. And long white robes and the red sash over it. Unmistakable. Filled up the whole sky. Just gazing down.
I can feel it.
Oh,
that's amazing.
So, yeah. And I can run it like a movie. Like I'm just describing it as I saw it. And, you know, it's...
So did he give you a message?
Unless I didn't have a camera. I could have taken a picture. I didn't have a camera.
It was meant for you, Shelora.
I know. And guess what? This past year, I'm still friends with Sandy. She lives in Bellingham. She came back from Sweden, moved to Florida, and then back here to Bellingham. And I said, remember when we saw Jesus in Maui? And she said, no. I said, do you remember when we saw the angel? Yes.
Oh, geez.
So the Jesus part was just for me.
Wow.
And that wasn't the only time when I was in Maui. We were down in the crater of Haleakala, which is an extinct volcano. And we were going to go into what's called a lava hole. It's like a tube. And we're going to go down inside of it. And we hiked down 9 miles into this crater. And then we're going across the bed of the volcano, which is like a desert. It's got, you know, sort of cactuses and grasses and stuff. And most of the group was ahead of me. And I don't know if you need to edit this out, but I needed to take a poop. And my mother taught me that, you know, if you're not near a bathroom, squat.
Right.
and use a leaf. So I was doing that, and the rest of them were receding into the distance. You know, I was at the end of the line, and I'm looking across the desert, and there's walking in the pathway about, I don't know, 500 yards, maybe not even that.
Right.
There's a man with long hair and a brown robe with a belt tied around it and sandals, and he's walking, and the wind is blowing his hair. And I have the thought, you know, that's what Jesus would look like walking in the desert.
Wow.
And then, you know, I turned away. I just thought it was a hippie, right? A Maui hippie. I turned back and he was gone.
Oh, what a beautiful story. Was there
And
a
then,
message there
you
for
know,
you?
it was. For 20 odd years, I could not understand why me. And that night, actually, after the seeing Jesus in the clouds, we went back to the resort where we were having the retreat. And we were all in the hot tub, and there was some new age musician guy named Raphael, and he had just come back from California. And I told him what I had seen, and he shared a past life memory of being at the cross. And then somebody said that the stars that night were in the same configuration as they were when Napoleon decided to attack Wellington in the War of 1812. And that night, George Bush Sr. and his cabinet were gathered deciding to attack Saddam Hussein in Kuwait at the beginning of the first Gulf War that is still going on, 20, 30 years later.
Right.
And that's what the message was. And so as we're in now this incredible time of social upheaval and turmoil and, rethinking everything, hopefully,
right.
All the old systems breaking down, collapsing. Some of them are just already gone and we don't realize it. But my birthday, as you know, is on Bastille Day, which is the French Revolution celebration of when they broke the political prisoners out of jail, which was called the Bastille. And a medium once told me, every time there's a revolution on the planet, you show up. So I'm fierce about politics in the same way that Marianne Williamson is. And I have met her many times.
Right.
And she, one of the times, said, "You're like family. You're buying me a house," buying all her books. But
I had the pleasure of meeting her once.
She's a teacher of course. She's a doll. And, she should really be the president of the United States, but whatever. Maybe she'll get her Department of Peace. We don't know. But when I got home from Hawaii, a group of us formed a Course in Miracles group, and we all bought our Course in Miracles book for $25. And I opened it, and the first principle of miracles is there's no order of difficulty in miracles.
No order.
All expressions of love are maximal. Of difficulty in miracles. When I bent over to pick up the loonie, did I leave that out? That's the most important part. Sorry. When I bent over to pick up the loonie, the voice said, "There's no order of difficulty in miracles."
Yes.
And I said, that made sense to me because I thought the money is a sign the money's on the way. And a loonie and $5,000 are the same. There's no order of difficulty. One is not harder than the other. And then in A Course in Miracles, there's 50 principles of miracles. And the first one is that, plus all expressions of love are maximal.
So beautiful.
And that's what a miracle is. According to A Course in Miracles, a miracle is a shift in perception from seeing through the eyes of fear to the eyes of love. From fear to love. And that is what's happening on the planet right now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just going to share, I had the book, The Course in Miracles, on my shelf, for many, many years, but I opened it up and actually read it and went through it after you reintroduced it to me. And I went through each miracle. Yeah, so you were in.
What happened? Oh.
Just wanted to share that with you, Shelora.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's your birthday, Sharos?
My birthday?
What is your birthday?
It's
Yeah.
It's January 22nd.
Are you willing to tell it to me?
January 22nd.
Are you going to give me the year? Or would you
1969.
rather not right now? 1969?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah.
Where were you born?
In Tanzania.
Where?
Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, Africa.
Okay. Perfect. Do you happen to know what time?
There's a fight between my mom and dad. One says 1 p.m., the other one says 2 p.m. I'll go with my mom. She was in labor with me for 3 days. So.
Oh my goodness. She beat my record. I was 40 hours. Oh well. But there you are.
There I am.
You know, like, so I read your hands. Like I discovered hand analysis through Sandy. Again, she phones me. She says, Shelora, you have to have a life purpose reading. Okay. I said, Sandy, at the moment, I don't have the money for gas and, or the $25, or it was $35 for the reading. I'm not coming down to Bellingham. She said, I will pay for your reading. I will get you people to drive. They will pay the gas. You are coming. And, you know, Richard did a 5-minute reading that just deconstructed the whole story of my life, both the purpose and the lesson in, you know, one elegant little nut for me to crack. And it made me cry. It was so precise. And so I, not having any money, signed up to do the intensive, and then I did the year long, and then I did the advanced, and I'm a certified advanced hand analyst with the International Institute of Hand Analysis. And Richard Unger is a master teacher. And actually, I was telling Leslie Phillips, Dr. Leslie Phillips, who's one of the people in this amazing group, this star-studded group that you have gathered together, so doggedly persistent, you will never, never give up. And I know that I read your hands, and I can still see your chart. You have both thumbs are whorls. There's 4 kinds of fingerprints: whorls, loops, arches, and tented arches. And 70% of the world has loops, which is the school of love. 25% has whorls, which is the school of service. And that leaves 5%. 2.9% are in the school of wisdom, which is the tented arch. And 2.1% is in the school of peace, which is you. And the arrangement of your fingerprints means you are a master manifester in service to the school of peace. Hello.
There's lots of challenges on that road. I don't know if you realize that.
Do you think? No wonder there's only 2.1% who bother to get reincarnated. You know, who wants to be in a body? It's way more peaceful in heaven. But the reassuring thing for me is our life purpose is imprinted in our fingerprints 14 to 16 weeks into the pregnancy, 5 months before we're born. And then the latest miracle, like my life has just been one miracle after another. I've had a hell of a lot of harsh things. Just imagine though,
Shelora, imagine if you hadn't had that first miracle, if you hadn't met with Sally, if Sally hadn't introduced you to
Sandy
hadn't introduced you to hand analysis, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
Yeah. Well, it would be in a different form.
It would be
Let's
in a
put
different
it that way. But
yeah.
I mean, I could do tarot readings and all of those things. Like the gift was there, but the form for the gift, like when I saw this, the precision of this and the depth of it, it was like your hand, this part of your hand all has gift markers. It has major lines like the heart line and the head line and the fate line and the lifeline. Those are the basic lines that everybody has.
Right.
Sometimes both of these two lines are together, and that's a simian line, and so on. But then there are also different markers. There are different types of hand shape. There's 19 gift markers, and the one that I have that's outstanding, I have a number of them. There's two that are really particularly outstanding, and one is called the Star of Apollo, which means basically a career in the spotlight.
Right.
In a creative career.
Right.
And to be seen, to be visible. And another one is I have something that means I have the gift of making complicated ideas simple for a mass audience.
Wow.
And another one is the Persephone line, which means I have the ability to go into the underworld where people's, the land of the living dead, pretty much, and bring people back into the light.
Wow.
So, and I also have a Star of Mars, which means I'm basically a spiritual warrior, and a spiritual teacher and a spiritual warrior. So I feel like I'm just coming into my own. And about 2 months ago, one of the people in my network called me and said, this hand analyst that we both know is doing a free workshop. Get on. And she sent me the link, and I got on. And she had evolved beyond hand analysis to human design. And that's what I've been studying over these past 4 or 5 months, however long it is since COVID, before COVID.
Right.
And in my human design chart, it's so specific. It says that you are to articulate systems and structures in such a way that you can help people manifest their life purpose and leave a legacy. Bada bing, bada boom.
Wow. What a responsibility.
And that is what I've been doing. I know.
What a responsibility to have.
But it doesn't seem heavy to me.
No.
I've been doing it all my life. And
Yes.
to me, it felt like, oh. And a week before my friend called me, I used to do you know what the I Ching is? The Chinese Book of Changes?
Yeah, I do.
No?
Yes, I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've studied
so during my marriage, which ended in oh, good. So you know what a hexagram is. You know that it's built on a foundation of solid and broken lines. There's 6 lines and 64 hexagrams. Okay. There also happen to be 64 codrons in our DNA. Okay.
Right.
And 9 chakras.
Yes.
And each of those hexagrams has a specific line attached to it, and they're called moving lines and create another hexagram. Yeah. And each has a specific meaning in the development of that particular hexagram. Right. Connect that to your DNA and take the day you were born, which is why I sneakily found out where you were born, when you were born, and the time, which does your astrology chart, but it also gives me 88 days before you were born.
Huh.
So that's 3 months before you were born. Your hands are made 5 months before you were born. A hand is made out of 11 volar pads, so all different sizes and shapes. So 1, 2, 3. So the human design, basically, I suppose I could show you, while we're talking, I could do your chart on my app, on my phone, the human design app, and I could, all right, you want to give me a minute while I do this?
Sure.
Because it is such a thrill, because
Absolutely.
if I thought that, Okay, good. And I don't know if you can edit this or you need to, but there's the Human Design app, okay?
Right.
And I'm doing a new chart and I'm putting your name in, S-H-A-R-O-Z. Oh, tell me, I can't even remember how to spell your name right now.
It's right on the screen.
S-H-A.
It's right on the screen.
No. Oh, yeah, I knew
You
that.
got it.
Shy Rose. Yep. And, okay. Done. And
New
the month
technology
is
does
month
wonders for us,
1,
doesn't
and
it?
the date is, it's a thrill.
I thought you were
when
gonna,
it's working.
I thought you were going to
Okay.
pull out paper and pen and draw a circle.
Oh no. Oh no. And it's not a circle. It's different than that. I'll show you in a second. It's
Okay.
because it incorporates all the chakras, the gates of the hexagrams, how they all connect to each other at the individual, tribal, and collective level. Oh my God. And
Oh my
this was a
God.
system that was downloaded by a man. It took 2 weeks, 24/7. He didn't eat or sleep. He just downloaded all this information into this book.
By what? I'm trying to read
Okay.
the author's name.
And
What's the author's name?
oh,
Sorry. Linda.
it is Ra Uruhu. She was his student, but the man who downloaded it, Ra Uruhu, founder of the Human Design System. He was a Canadian, but he was a wild man.
That's something I haven't studied and probably
the mountains.
should.
There you go. and could. No should about it. I really don't like that word. Anyway, 1969, done. Whoops. 1969. And the time, was this 1:30 in the morning or 1:30 in the afternoon?
In the afternoon. In the afternoon.
Okay, so we had 12, so 13:30. Oh, I really like the meeting ID, the numbers of it. The 2020-44, that's 44, that's 444, which is a very high angel number. Done. And you know that that I've read Doreen Virtue's hands, and I've read Dr. Bruce Lipton's hands, and
Yes.
I didn't get to do Wayne Dyer's before he died. I did his
know.
daughter's, but guess what?
What?
She is like you. She's a teacher in the School of Peace.
Really?
She's the only other one I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
You have to put me in touch with
fascinating,
her.
isn't it?
You'll have to put me in touch with her.
I'm on Facebook. I will. That's a good idea. Okay, I will. All right. So wait a minute. You were born in Tanzania. Let's see if they have it. They should. It's a country. It's real. They've got Liechtenstein. They've got the Republic of Congo. Element of QRS, SSSS, Spain, Tanzania. Good. Okay. And what was the city in Tanzania?
Dar es Salaam.
What city?
Dar es Salaam.
So how do you spell?
D-A-A-R.
So D-A-R. E-S?
Yes.
What's the next part?
Salam. S-A-L-A-A-M.
E-S and then S-A-L. That's what I thought. Just
You should
check it.
find it.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Okay.
And if that doesn't, we'll see. D-A-A-R. If it's not in the app, if it's small, give me the capital. So let's
Tanzania.
see. So I got that part. They do it the opposite way.
It might be spelled with
Save
one.
chart. It's spelled with one A.
Yeah, it might be spelled with one A.
That's exactly what it just showed me. Okay, get chart. Oh my goodness.
What does that mean?
Okay. Crown chakra, third eye, throat. Whoops. Okay, I shouldn't touch it. Throat, identity center, heart, etc., down to the root chakra. These are the chakras. You'll see some of them are colored in,
Yeah.
and some are blank.
Yeah.
Okay. Some have, the colored ones are defined because you see how this one, the channel between the two is black and it's connected.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on 1 sec. I'm just going to.
And you so do you see how here there's black numbers and red numbers?
Yeah.
Okay. The red are 88 days before you're born,
Okay.
where the planets were and where the hexagrams were.
Right.
But you're connected to the planets. Like this connects all these different systems and weaves them together and locates them in the chakras in your body. Like that is mind-boggling to me, and connects that to your DNA. So.
But what does it all mean?
So that's a big deal, but what part of it is your sun, and there's 4 planets that make your reincarnation cross, which I am just going to look up in my book. I've got binders and binders. I just love this stuff. I'm a born student. My kids think I'm nuts, and that's their problem. 3128.
I love you,
you
Shelora.
have the right angle cross of the. Why?
What?
Oh, why? Why did you say that just then?
I just said I love you,
Because
Shelora.
I said that's their problem?
Yeah.
I know. I just said why. Not my problem. It's your business, right? How you feel is up to you. Thank you. That's all I get to say. But you have the right angle cross of the unexpected. Your cross has the energy to bump into the unexpected and bring something forward through this experience. What you bring forward is not known at the time of the experience. Your energy will drive you to have expectations about what will become of this discovery, but those expectations may not be met. There's an old commercial where a man eating chocolate bumps into a woman eating peanut butter. The fantasy reveals the product as Reese's peanut butter cups. And you, as you probably know, this seemingly unexpected event rendered a successful outcome through the combination, but it could easily have tasted awful. You're here to make the discovery and bring it forward. Expect the unexpected in your life. So that's just part of it. And so if you download this app, it's only $6.99.
I'll download it.
But if you know what you're doing, yeah, but like if I tap on what makes up, let's say, your reincarnation cross is gate 41, which is the hexagram in the I Ching. So 41 is the hexagram of sacrifice and decrease, and the line you have is the line of reasonableness. And I would say that is true of you. You are a very reasonable person.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
then the next one is, think that's true?
Yeah, absolutely.
The next one is mutual attraction, which is manifestation, but in detriment. Okay. You're a manifester, but there's obstacles.
Yes.
Okay, but you persist, nevertheless.
For absolute
how long is this
100%
thing
sure I can
been
manifest, for absolute 100% sure anything I ask for, God hands me on a silver platter. It's just there's obstacles between my asking and the delivering.
And they are unexpected.
Yes.
Right?
And they are unexpected.
Like they show up in the most impossibly unexpected ways. Like, how the hell could that happen? But it does, and you keep going because you have faith that it is going to manifest. There's just going to be a delay, and it might not look the way you expected it to.
Yeah.
But guess what? The next part is
what?
Great excess, greatness achieved through a balanced approach. But your specific line is adventurism. You love the adventure of the unexpected. Why not?
Right. Why not?
You never know what's going to show up.
Right.
You start in one place and you end up in another. And along the way, you learn a whole bunch of stuff. Like you didn't expect this to happen today, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't expect
because I didn't
all these readings about my birthday. We were expecting to talk about you. But this is good because everything is unexpected and everything is beautiful.
Well, we are talking about me.
Yes, we are. True.
And we are talking about me.
True.
Because this is what I'm passionate about.
Absolutely.
This is what I want to share with the world.
Absolutely.
And what better demonstration than doing it in real time right now? And here even. So the last part, guess what? Of your reincarnation cross is nourishment, providing nourishment. And the line that you have, oops, okay, this is what you have to watch out for. I don't even want to say it.
Why?
This is greed.
What is it?
Well, for that answer, I have to go here. This is just a hoot for me because, that's too, it's not. So it's 27, providing the obsession with having much more than one needs, the psychological manifestation, the obsession and dependency on knowing what is hidden, the secret, oh my, the power derived in having more than one needs, whether sexually, mentally, or materially. That doesn't sound like you.
No.
But you probably overcome that a long time ago. But you got involved with people like that, didn't you?
Yeah.
We won't say anything more.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what that energy looks like.
Yeah,
and
I know what that energy looks like.
What to do about it.
Yes. Now I know what to do about it.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not that person.
So when you manifest it for the higher, no. But you've worked through that energy. I would say that's probably karmic. Yeah, because you're not power hungry at all.
Was I that in a past life? So I have to go through it in this life?
Yes, and it not only that. I think at some level it disgusts you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely does.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true? Yes. Yeah, because nourishment is what it's really about, is providing compassionate energy for those in need. So protecting and caring for people, which is what you're about. Yeah. So, I put all those factors together, and then I weave that together with the hand map, right? And I know that you're a teacher in the School of Peace, and I know that part of you has resisted that. And I'm really glad that you're stepping into that now, into the leadership, and being willing to go through all these, persist through the inevitable obstructions and challenges. Exactly.
It's kind of pushing me to it.
And people in the School of Peace, like you, who are rare, they physically are repulsed at some level by even having to be in a body, seriously.
Yeah.
And they experience this world as a very dangerous, malignant place, which it is.
Yeah.
And being so highly sensitive and spiritually evolved as you are, you know, the vibration, the lower vibration energy really can damage you. It's like somebody's trying to hack all your spiritual database, right?
Yeah.
That's greed.
Yeah.
So if it's not in you, it's in your life for you to deal with.
Right. And that's definitely
Okay?
true. That's definitely true.
That's what?
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not in me, but it's it's around me, and I'm dealing with it. So is there a way to say, Lord, you can have all that back, and you deal with it? I don't want to deal with it anymore.
Well, in A Course in Miracles, it would basically be, forgive me for believing that's real.
Right.
That they could really steal anything from me. Right. I don't own it.
I don't own it.
And like just to disappear it as a, and then that kind of leads to something else that I'm really skilled at is, you know, the map is not the territory. So I know how to read the chart and read the hand map, but then I'm really skilled at finding out where a person is stuck on their journey, where they stopped growing, what the impasse is, where the conversation that needs to be had between what you've projected out of you and what's in here. And I don't know, you know, where greed showed up in your life, maybe just as an entity or a curse or a past life thing. We don't know. Right. But what I could do is work with you. I do something called 2-chair work. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Or Gestalt therapy. And yeah, I learned that from a protege of Fritz Perls. And it's basically a conversation where you have 2 chairs opposite each other. And one is the you that has the question for the part of you that looks like it's outside of yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So a parent, a boss, a teacher.
Right.
You know, something.
Yeah.
That's over there in the other chair.
Right.
And then the conversation is like, why did you, or when you did this, it did that, I felt like this, and you know, I always felt smaller or lesser than, whatever the grievance is, right? That you have projected onto them and separated that part of you from yourself. Am I saying? I hope I'm being clear.
Yeah.
And tell me if I'm not. Okay.
No,
if you don't understand. So then you put that out where you have put it on the other person, and then you get up from the chair you're in, go over to the other chair, and answer the question from the point of view of the other person.
Right.
So in the dream, the concept in Gestalt therapy is everything in your dream is an aspect of yourself projected out so you can watch it on the movie screen.
Right. Yeah, I've heard that.
And I'm sure you know it's an illusion, right? We're living in a dream, but most people can't wrap their mind around
everyone
that.
around
but when you bring it down to something personal, like I have, yes, but that sounds like woo-woo, caca, poo-poo to most people, especially my daughters. And they think I'm naive and gullible and I get sucked into things and taken advantage of.
Only when you get the realization that it's true that
no
you realize
meaning.
it. An awareness comes about that makes you realize it.
Can't force someone to realize that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that happens when it happens, if it happens. I pray that my daughters will someday wake up, but I'm writing my book so that in case I'm not here when they wake up, it'll be in writing. And they
What's
go,
the book you're
oh,
writing?
that's what she was talking about.
What's the book?
White Butterflies.
The White Butterfly. And is it a novel or is it nonfiction?
White. It's an autobiographical novel, and I'm doing a one-woman show on the story of my life because it's been a teaching and learning experience for me. Like that I met Jesus and A Course in Miracles and, all of these amazing things. Like when I was young, I wanted to be an actress, and I was chosen from across Canada as the youngest person. Like there were 7 girls, 7 boys to go to the National Theatre School of Canada. They had auditioned across Canada, and I was one of them for the 2nd year of the National Theatre School. And what a blessing that was. And I struggled with, I thought I was supposed to be an actress in the theater playing the role of other people. No, I'm supposed to be me on stage, sharing my story, of how, angels have saved my life. They've spoken to me, and like, I have my 2 daughters because after a year of an abusive relationship, running away 20 times, having my houseboat that I was living on sunk from under me, being woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning on Christmas morning by a voice that said, Shelora, wake up. And I did, and there was nobody there. And I went out on the dock, and so I got dressed and I went to my girlfriend's place. And when I came home, the roof of my 65-foot tugboat was floating beside the dock. I would have drowned.
Wow.
So I trust that voice.
Yeah.
It hasn't shown up very often, but when it does, I pay attention.
Yeah.
And a week or so later, I got myself out of that abusive relationship. And then I had a dream. I was staying at a friend's house, and I wrote in my journal, that's it. I will never get married. I'll never have children. I give up. And that night I had a dream of a riverboat gambler in a black broad-brimmed hat and a shirt with silver trim. And the next day he was on a riverboat, and like I could see the windows beside him, and he was winking at me. And then the next day I go upstairs for dinner. My friend gave me a whole apartment in her building. My God. I mean, talk about a blessing when you need it. And there was someone that I had, a theater director that I had worked with in the past. And guess what he was wearing?
Exactly what was in your dream?
Black hat, black shirt, silver trim, the whole thing. And then I'm looking at this, and the voice says, this is the man who will be the father of your children. So I say, John, a voice just told me that you're going to be the father of my children. You know what he said?
What?
That's okay. I like kids. I like kids.
And was he the?
And he is the father of my children.
Aww.
Yeah.
That voice.
I have 2 gorgeous. You gotta listen.
So you obviously have precognitive abilities, and you get.
I don't know if they're precognitive, but I'm clairaudient. I'm clairvoyant.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and now, the voice isn't as loud, but I've trained myself. Doreen Virtue helped me with this, actually, to hear the voice. And it's like this tiny little whisper. And she says, just go bleh, spit it out, whatever it is, however crazy it is. And I have done that more than once. And people go, how did you know that? Right. I don't know. I just heard it.
Wow.
So put all that.
Yeah, Doreen Virtue is.
Yeah, what a gift.
Yeah. I'd love to talk to her again.
She's she's in another place, and it's not a good place as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
Because she was totally into A Course in Miracles. She participated in the recording, played one of the parts in my friend Gary Renard's book, The Disappearance of the Universe, which is A Course in Miracles for laymen.
Right.
Similar to Marianne Williamson, but more funnier, way funnier. And my friend Sandy again introduced me to Gary Renard, and I was his driver on the book tour all over, you know, from Vancouver to Seattle and back again. And I got funny stories about that too. But, you know, strange things happen. He's sitting in meditation in his living room in Maine, and he opens his eyes, and there's two people sitting on the couch in front of him, and they didn't come in through the door.
Right.
Now, you're either going to believe that or you're not.
I believe it,
and they
because
came.
I've had such experiences.
Aha! I had a feeling you might.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell me?
Well, the
You want to
voice
tell me
in the
about
head,
that,
I've
or-
had a voice in the head save me from a car accident, for example. I remember driving to Astral Connections one day, and I'm driving down the road, and it's Blue Mountain. I don't know if you're familiar with the road, and I'm going down the road.
I do.
All of a sudden,
Yep.
I hear a voice in my head change lanes. It was quite quiet, and then I'm like looking all around me, you know, what was that all about? And then I hear it again, change lanes. And I'm still like,
Change
where's
lanes.
that coming from, right? Like, and then I'm still looking around. Then the voice was
Just do it.
louder and more authoritative, like a male voice, very husky, and it was
Yeah. Commanding.
commanding me to change
It was a
lanes.
man's
And I
voice.
still was like, and all of a sudden I feel my hands move, my feet move, and I physically change lanes. And I drove by as there's this 5-car smash up beside me, and I'm seeing glass everywhere and blood everywhere, and I'm like, and I pulled over and prayed for whatever just happened, because
Oh my God.
oh my God, like, why was I spared, right? Why did
Because you're a teacher of peace.
that? So that's one very traumatic one.
Yeah.
The men on the couch, it wasn't me, but I was talking to a friend who was in the hospital, and she said while I was there, she said there's 2 other people in the room with her, and she said they're standing there. And so definitely I believe you, because I believed her when she told me that. And she described that they were big and tall and what they were wearing, and you know, and she was probably
Do they have hoods?
Pardon me?
Did they have hoods?
They didn't have hoods. They were like,
what were they wearing?
But she said they came to take her. And she said one looked really gentle and innocent. The other one looked really mean. So, you know.
So she didn't go.
She basically said she actually did go, but it was 2 years later. And when I talked to her, she said the very same guys, same men, have been in my room again shortly after she passed away.
Wow. She said that after she passed away to you?
No, like in the few days before she passed away, she called me and communicated with me and shared with me that these men are back. And I've been seeing them again. And then shortly after that, she passed away.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did see
That's
her after
interesting.
she passed away in a vision, and she was wearing a pink outfit. And she looked happy. She looked very happy. but she didn't say any words. I just saw her. Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've had my odd experiences too, for sure.
Well, Dr. Leslie Phillips, who is an amazing medium,
Yes.
and on my list is to study with her. But I was doing, a psychic fair at Reflections Books out in Coquitlam, and she was there, and I was explaining hand analysis to her, and I told her that the hand was, and the fingerprint system was the fundaments of Aristotle's philosophy. And he read Alexander the Great's hand,
Right.
and that I believed that this was a lost art,
Right.
and that my teacher, Richard Unger, was Aristotle or is part of Aristotle's soul group from a past life.
Right.
And
he
so Leslie said, would you like to read Aristotle's hand? Yeah, exactly. And she said, would you like to read Aristotle's hand? And I said, sure. So she went and got Aristotle. That's Leslie, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, have him hold his hand up. And what I did was, I had already been studying with Richard for a long time.
Right.
And he has the philosopher's handshake. So
right.
I asked what that was, and I asked for descriptors, and he had a simian line and the knobby knuckles and the da-da-da. Everything was the same as Richard's hand. Then she said, would you like to see Socrates' hand? I got that.
Wow.
I wasn't as clear. Then she said, would you like to see Alexander's hand? Yeah, I'm not seeing it. She's seeing it, but I know the questions to ask, okay?
Right.
And Alexander's hand had the hand shape of the general. Can you believe this? So then she said, would you like to see the library at Alexandria? Would I? Of course I would. So before it burned, preferably. And so she took me there, and I said, okay, please go to the hand analysis section. She says, okay, I'm there. I said, what do you see? She says, I see hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scrolls, and they're in 6 languages. And I asked what they were, and she could identify, Egyptian and Latin and all these, Greek and whatever. But there was one she couldn't recognize, and the voice said Sumerian. Okay, that's 30,000 years.
Right.
And that hand and that fingerprint knowledge is that ancient. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I said, can you take me to the fingerprint section? And she did. Oh, she said, these books are different. They're more like the accordion books, except they don't have the string holding them together, but they're full of these charts. You remember the charts I do, the squares with fingerprints in each one?
Wow. Wow.
And then she told me that she could see my past life as a 22-year-old, blonde, blue-eyed young man who was a student of Aristotle.
Oh my
And
God.
when the library began to burn, I ran in and tried to save as many scrolls and books as I could. So when Richard downloaded this system, he'd already read 12,000 pairs of hands, and he'd been doing all the research. He'd read all the old ancient Greek and Roman and everything, translations, but nothing on fingerprints, nothing anywhere. So then he found a medical textbook called Fingerprints, Palms, and Soles, like the soles of your feet.
You're right.
And it was in the archives of the Dallas Medical Library. And so he had to put the white gloves on. It was the only copy. And he's holding this thing in his hands. And all of a sudden he hears the voice, and it says, fingerprints, palms, and souls, SOULS. And then he downloaded the system, and he said it took about 3 to 5 minutes, and it was like remembering something he already knew.
Oh my God.
So that's my feeling now, Charrose, is like at this time on the planet, all the ascended masters, all the teachers, all the great spirits, all the angels, anything, everything is conspiring for our good. They are close. They've got ours. We're surrounded. We've been in quarantine. This planet has been so dangerous and so misguided, like so committed to separation as salvation, that, you know, we're off the tracks and we're going to hell in a handbasket over the bridge into extinction. And, you know, we need help and we need it now. This is it. We were born for this.
Yeah.
That's what I believe.
Yeah. It's interesting how it's
maybe
all
I should write a blog
too.
post on that.
You know, in the last few weeks, spirit guided, I've been talking to some of the old Astral team, and I talked to Leslie, I talked to you, I talked to Joshua, and Leslie wrote one of my experiences in her new book too. So it's interesting how we're talking about these experiences, we're talking about the individuals, and it's sort of all coming together. It's like there's this bigger plan and this bigger picture that we're all part of.
You bet.
That we're all part of, and it's slowly opening up like a flower, right? And its petals. And, you know, I'm just waiting to see where it's going.
What a beautiful image. I tell you, you want to check in with Oracle Girl if you want to know where it's going. Because human design, here's one of the underpinnings of it. Since 1615, the year 1615, for 471 years, we've been operating under the right angle cross, the reincarnation cross of planning, which created institutions and structures and law and justice and politics and all of this stuff, okay?
Right.
And it's now crumbling. And in 1615, we went from being 7 chakra beings to 9 chakra beings. And in 2027, only 6 more years, on January 1st, 12 chakra beings, plus a new form of human that already is 12 chakras is going to come in. And they're going to occur not like the indigo or crystal babies, but more like, but similar in the way that they seem almost like autistic or on the spectrum.
Right.
And they have big heads, big eyes, but their bodies are not that sturdy. And when you get 5 of them together, that's called a penta, and they communicate telepathically. So remember I told our group about Oracle Girl?
Yeah.
She's a forerunner. She's one of them, one of 5 that are on the planet now teaching. And she's doing purifications. And you can do these purifications for yourself, your family, a relationship, your community,
right,
for an issue, for the world.
Right.
And she said, like, they interviewed her in Denmark, something like this. And they asked her, what advice do you have for the future? You know what she said? Buy seeds and cryptocurrency. And she said, she described it that we're going to be going back to more local communities, taking care of each other, nurturing each other, protecting each other, trading with each other, bartering, exchange, donation, you know, and if we need to do worldwide exchanges safely, crypto.
Right.
And what I like about it is Crypto is a decentralized authority. It can't be the trickle-down economics from the top down, like the pharaoh and the pyramid, right? It took however many years building from the bottom up, and that's what we're doing. So the power is in the base of the pyramid. But it drives upward so that we all go up. Isn't that cool?
And earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that your toolbox is growing, and that we talked about I Ching, we talked about hand analysis, we talked about human design, and we talked about the Course in Miracles. Is there anything else? We talked about tarot readings and astrology. I mean, those are all, they're all in your toolbox.
And Gestalt therapy. I'm a registered clinical counselor. I have a master's in counseling psychology. I'm a soul's. Do you know what psyche means? Psychology, psyche? Psyche? It means soul. Yes. It means spirit.
Yes, yes.
Psyche, P-S-Y-C-H-E. She's the goddess of the spirit. Right. And I'm a soul psychologist.
Right.
So, no, the human design is what's boggling my mind, because it has the chakra system, it has the hexagrams, it has the astrology, you know, all combined.
Together.
Here's the wisdom of that. It's in your body. We don't make our decisions with our brain. Our mind is to share and communicate the wisdom that we've acquired through our lives, which is what you're giving me the gift, the platform to be able to share authentically from my heart and soul with my passion, everything focused on getting this message out at the exact perfect time. I don't think there's any accidents. In fact, I know it.
No, otherwise this would have happened a long time ago.
No, it's part of the divine design. Yeah. It takes as long as it takes. Yeah. What I'm grateful for is I turned 77 on July 14th, 6 days ago. This is like, I kept thinking somewhere in the dark corners of my mind, it's too late. You'll never get there. You'll have to come back and do it all again. Blah, 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 blah. This is it. And what's needed now, Sharos, is wisdom of the elders. That's what the grandmothers are about. I know one of them. I've talked to them. I've held a crystal skull. You know, like my life is, if you're into adventurism, I'm on steroids. I went into the desert in Morocco on a camel for 3 days. And on the third day, I started speaking Hebrew. And I don't know Hebrew. And I had a vision there of a caravan of camels going from the Sahara Desert, the North Sahara Desert in Morocco, through Libya, up Abraham's path to Jerusalem.
Wow. Wow.
And then, you know, like at a Course in Miracles conference, somehow, like after that miracle happened, and when I got back to Spain, I wrote to Gary Renard and I said, has the Course in Miracles been translated into Arabic? Because I met a professor who said that, and he spoke English better than I do, and that's hard. And he said he would translate it. And he was a Muslim. And I thought, holy cannoli.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I contacted Gary, and he said, you need to speak to Judith Scutch, who's the publisher of the Inner Peace Foundation, which publishes A Course in Miracles. Her husband has translated the Course into 17 different languages. When I emailed Judith, she said, Shelora, we've been waiting for you. We want it in Arabic. And it, you know, those kind of things happen. And then I was in San Francisco, and somehow I phoned her, and she invited me over, and she gave me a DVD, which I haven't had the nerve to watch, but she told me that outside of Jerusalem, there is a Course in Miracles center that takes people into the desert on camels.
Wow.
And I saw this caravan with beta cams and a Range Rover and gathering children and people, you know, all people gathering together, going to Jerusalem for peace. It's bloody well time. And I love Bernie Sanders because he said, what for peace? If there's a Palestinian in prison or being killed, then I'm in prison. It has to be equal for Israel and Palestine. I'm Jewish.
Absolutely.
My mother's family perished in the Holocaust. And every Palestinian, every Muslim, they're all my brothers.
Absolutely.
My friends marched with Martin Luther King. I'm not just, it's not a mistake that, you know, I'm 17 and one of my friends is on the Chicago 7, which happened in Chicago, you know, with the riots when they sicked the German shepherds and fire hoses on the protesters in America. Most of my friends are American. I feel it in my body what's happening there. And my children live there and my grandchildren. And they will never have Medicare for all. If they don't have it now, they never will. They're out of freaking control.
Right.
That is what happens when greed takes over everything else.
That's what
because
greed takes over.
It's like any other addiction. And you know what I've learned about the brain, the way the brain works, is trauma separates and compartmentalizes in the brain. To protect against the pain, we separate from it physically in our brain. And that creates ADHD. And all this fragmentation, soul fragments floating around everywhere, lost, terrified, traumatized. It's a totally traumatized planet. And I mean, it's being run by a totally traumatized baby man who's frozen at 3 years old, having a huge temper tantrum, and nobody cares. He's alone, he's abandoned. He doesn't have a mother. He doesn't even have a nanny. They were that stingy. He's abandoned as a baby. That's why he keeps saying, "Oh, you baby." You know? Well, and that kind of false manhood, false masculinity, saying, you know, we'll get this under control. We'll just send the army in. And he's doing it. So we have to rise up. There's no more, you know.
Yeah, there's no more sitting back, because otherwise things are going to change very drastically. Yeah, I hear you.
In the wrong direction.
You asked me why I love you, and
so we're in a field of possibility. Sorry?
You asked me why I love you, and the answer to that is because you tend to push through no matter what's around you, like, and the passion you have to learn about all the different tools you've learned about, bringing it all together and recognizing that that it's about the soul reality, not the physical reality, and that all these soul fragments, just as you mentioned right now, need to be brought back together, not for one, but for the whole. So there you go.
And it needs to be safe. It needs to be safe to be in a body.
Right.
And to be able to heal that body.
I can't believe
like
you read.
Right now, we've been poisoning Mother Earth.
I can't believe you read all those hands with Leslie, Dr. Leslie Phillips being a medium for those hands for you. That's just amazing.
I know. And, you know, like, I feel like I need a presence on the internet. I want to kind of have my own show. And then when you asked me to do this, I thought, this is perfect. Because it's like,
well, we can have
Leslie has her own show. We can
have a little mini show for you where you can share little snippets of insights and we could just post your individual insight videos on there. And I think that would be amazing because you're full of insights, just little snippets of different topics. If you go on the site right now, I have an area for learning, and it's all different definitions of different metaphysical subjects. And wouldn't it be cool to have a little?
Really? I haven't even had a chance to go on.
I know. And so
for our listeners, say the name of the website, please. Oh, okay. Achoo.
Thank you.
What's the name of the website?
Well, I'll send it to you in the message.
What is it?
In the messenger. I'll send it to you in the messenger.
No, but for the people who are listening.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's metaphysicalhub.net.
Do you know what?
What?
It's the perfect name. Barbara Marx Hubbard.
It took a lot for me to move away from Astral Connections to this. It took a lot. So the logo's still there, and I created a new logo, but yeah, it took a lot for me to move away from that.
This is better.
I was so attached.
I know.
To
I know, but Astral Connections is too woo-woo. What I like about this is, do you know what metaphysical actually means? Of course you do. Above the physical.
Yeah.
So like in human design, the body is where the wisdom is.
That's right.
The mind is where you share and communicate it from,
right.
But not where you make your decisions from. You make your decisions from your physical being.
Right.
And you trust, your gut, your intuition, your heart. But don't trust this.
No.
And its purpose is not to help you, it's to help other people.
Right.
And the gift is only received in the giving of it. That's well said.
It's only received in the giving of it.
I love that. In the giving of it.
I love that.
I'm writing that down.
Yes.
That's by Shelora Fitzgerald.
So if
and that's,
metaphysical,
we are all gifted.
If metaphysical is above the physical,
yes,
then what subject matter are we talking about when we say we're above the physical? I realize we're talking about the soul.
Well, it's
but
not
the soul
so much above. It's not better than the physical. It embraces the physical.
That's right.
It's like across it. It's surrounding. It's like the angels or heaven surrounding the planet. It's the energy. But Mother Earth, her vibrational frequency. Do you know what her vibrational frequency is? When we're born, our bodies vibrate at 30 megahertz per second. It's called the Schumann resonance. That is the resonance of the planet. And
the Schumann resonance is 7.83.
7.8. Okay. What's the 30.7?
Not sure.
Somewhere in that spectrum is us. And when we walk barefoot on the planet, we're connecting with that resonance. And it's, that's a healthy baby body, they're naked in the grass. Why not? That's where we should grow up. But if we disconnect from that and we've got concrete and rubber and all those things interfering, we can't receive that vibration. And then we're being bombarded with everything from 3G to 5G to radar to, all that stuff. And it's somewhere up around 1800 or something crazy. I don't know what the specific numbers are. I do know that the cancer is going up and the Roundup is going into the ground and the soil water. And I actually heard from a doctor an analysis of what a virus is as opposed to a bacteria. A bacteria is a life form. A virus is not. It's a molecule or a set of molecules that can attach to other molecules, including arsenic or cyanide, in the polluted air over a crowded city like Wuhan, and then can blow in the wind, takes about 3 weeks to get to North America.
Right.
And this doctor was looking at the people, and they were saying the virus is a respiratory disease, but it's not. It's a circulatory disease. It thickens the blood. It goes into all the organs. It's not just the lungs. Lungs is one of the organs that it's affecting. And he looked at it and he went, this looks like they're blue in the face. It's called apoptosis or something. Like they can't get oxygen. And this is at, you know, the last stages. He said, it looks like cyanide poisoning. He said, a cyanide poisoning treatment kit costs $10. I treated them for cyanide poisoning. 2 days later, they're back.
Hmm.
Now, that's Monsanto in action, buying up and copywriting all the GMO altered
the question
food,
I would want to
getting rid of the bees.
The question I would want to ask is, because he believed that the possibility of this, that it was possibly this cyanide reaction, and that cyanide, a cyanide antidote would cure it. Now, did that belief play the part in creating the healing, or was it actually what he thought it was?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I don't know. He's a doctor.
Because different people all over the world have come up with.
But he's tried to communicate this. All kinds of things.
That's right, because different people from all over the world have come up with different things and said it's this and I cured it, and said it's this and I cured it. So it makes me want to believe that.
I'm not so worried about the cure. I'm not so worried about the cure as the cause.
That's right.
Because to me, like when I was in Hawaii for Doreen Virtue, I was there for 2 months. And at that time in Hawaii, they were having a referendum on suspending GMO farming in Hawaii, particularly on Maui, where they grow all the dole pineapples and they spray the fields with horrendous pesticides. And their cancer rate had doubled in 1 year. And so they wanted this referendum so they could investigate what's in the water, what's in the air, what's in the pesticides, what's happening to our people. And they won. All these hippie trust fund babies with organic farms overlooking the ocean in Maui, they got together, they put their money in. Monsanto put 10 times as much money, and the hippies beat Monsanto by 1%. And the Hawaiian farmers and everybody joined to do that. It only lasted for 7 hours because Monsanto has lawyers and money up the yin yang, and they overturned it on some legal detail. But that doesn't matter, because it's like what's happening if we poison our water, our earth, our food, everything is out of balance with nature. Mother Earth is saying enough is enough. Because 50% of our DNA is viruses. We developed into these strong, sturdy human beings because we have the immune system built by beating viruses.
Right.
So, you know, they're not alien to us. They can be helpful to us. But now, you know, we've got to get the balance back. And in order to do that, it's the balance between Mama Earth and Papa Sun. You know, we got to make the thing, we got to grow our own food again and put our hands in the dirt and feel the gratitude for clean water, fresh air.
Yeah.
And that's that.
Absolutely.
And I grew up with that. You know, during the COVID shutdown, I started walking around it. I live in a mobile home park. I'm trailer trash. Not. But I walked with a walking partner 3 times around here, 2 kilometers a day. And we would talk. And I noticed all these memories, happy childhood memories of being able to play in the streets, No traffic, no sidewalks, a lawn where you could sit and look for 4-leaf clovers for as long as you want, and blow bubbles from a clay pipe and sing songs and throw the ball up against the wall without fear. This is before I was 9 years old, and a 15-year-old from a poor neighborhood with an alcoholic father, you know, attempted to rape me to get into a gang. And my question was, why? Why would he do that? And I am now just beginning to understand the pain that men suffer being men, having to be strong and fight and die for their families and their country, and the ancestral pain of that, and the pain of the mothers, the grief of the mothers mourning their children that they've had to send off to war, and now they just send into the streets and they could come home dead. It's awful, and it's anti-human. And Mother Earth is saying, you know, I provide you food, I provide you oxygen from the trees, everything you need to live.
Right.
And you're abusing me and exploiting me, and your connection with me, your respect for me is zero, and I can't take it anymore.
Right.
So, you know, it's
yeah,
only natural
I wouldn't be surprised
that
if
a virus would jump.
I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, the heavens get super mad with us and end it all, you know, just like they have in the past, because it is kind of horrendous right now. It really is what's happening and where we're headed. But at the same time, I see signs of awakening that I've never seen before too. So
exactly.
And
it's becoming so grotesquely obvious. Everybody can see it. And it's happening right in front of us. And the corruption is being exposed. Right. And it's true, it's everywhere. But integrity is too. And good-heartedness is too. And generosity and kindness. And people are gravitating towards the good, because absolutely, that's where safety is.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And others are gravitating
towards also what we know.
The tyranny.
It's also what we know. We know that
we know goodness
will set us free. The good will take us in the right direction. We know that innately, and so that's why we gravitate towards it. And we know that there's no winning in the other direction right now, right? So so many
do we all know that?
Sorry? I feel innately we do. So maybe we're not aware of it in our current life situation, but we know it innately. Your muscle system knows it. Your inner core knows it.
That's
and therefore, ultimately, it's going to rise. It's like that voice that, you know, change lanes. It knows better, and when we're in that situation where we're going in the wrong direction, it'll pull us back, at least those who are willing to listen, right?
Yeah, wake up, Shelora.
Yeah.
It only had to tell me once.
So,
but yeah,
I want to go back for a second.
We've gotten out of the habit of trusting that.
Right.
Yep.
I just want to go back for one sec, because there was a statement you made many sentences ago, and that you got to hold a crystal skull. And I was wondering where that happened, how that happened, what is it, and where's the story behind that? Please share.
You ready for another story? You can cut these up into different ones if you want.
I could. Okay. Hold on.
So,
hello?
Okay. So it's 2011, and there's a conference up at SFU on 2012. Okay. And Andrew Harvey and Barbara Marks Hubbard and Daniel Pink and just all these experts on the Mayan calendar and the future after 2012, and were there. And it was the summer that the Gulf oil spill, like that it was coming up, bubbling up from under the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico. And I don't know if you're familiar with Barbara Marx Hubbard, but she had a vision of that. The angels took her. Okay, so you saw, you know, the black stain spreading, coming around the equator and all that. So I attended that conference and connected
I used
with Barbara Marx Hubbard there.
Her nine dimensions book is very dear to me. It's led me on many spiritual journeys.
Well, then you know that Jose Arguelles, who actually put the message about the Mayan calendar out to the world, he was there, and he designated Barbara as being in charge of day one of the next 5,000 years.
Right.
So 2013, according to the Mayan calendar, whatever that is. And on Wednesday, on my birthday, the Mayan calendar and the Gregorian calendar intersected, whatever that means. But at one of the speakers was a Mayan priestess who had walked from Mexico to Vancouver. And she told, like, she looked like one of those carvings, you know, with the nose and her face was that. And I think her name was Flora something. I can't remember exactly, but she was carrying this crystal skull with her all the way. And she told the story of how she came to have it, okay? That I think she was one of the grandmothers or something, I don't know, but she was in a motel on her way. She didn't sleep outside. And with somebody else, they were walking together. And she looked out the window and she saw like a Mayan priest with a big feather headdress and in full regalia walking down the road towards her. And it was like from the 16th century. And she said to her friend, I have to go out. And she went. And he came towards her and he had this kind of, she described it like a mud egg in his hands, like hard baked mud. And he just silently handed it to her. And she took it. And it was about 10 pounds, she said. And then he turned around and walked away. And she brought this back into the room. And her friend wasn't there. She sat down on the bed and she was holding this egg going, whoa, what is this? And then it cracked open. And inside the mud was a golden egg. And then that cracked open. And inside that was a tiny little golden baby. And in the Mayan tradition, she said that when the Mayan calendar ended, that there would be a golden baby, and it would, like she described, it was growing faster than humans, and so it was an infant, and then it was 6 months old, and she said there had been reports of it appearing elsewhere and so on. So like she was obviously a magical person, but she had somehow, her mentor or teacher or something had the crystal skull, and it was supposed to go to somebody else, and then something happened to that somebody else, and then he gave it to her. Maybe it was her father. I can't remember the details of it, but it was there. And after the weekend was over, it was like 3 full days of speakers, and oh my God, the energy was freaking incredible. And I got to hug Jose Arguelles, and it was like hugging a cloud. He was barely there. He left the planet 4 months later, but he was so sweet. He was just like transparent. It was weird. Anyway, I went up, like the last speaker was this Mayan woman, Flora Munda, I think. Flower World. Yeah, something like that. And her assistant, who I think had played the flute or something, it was a woman, long gray hair, long dress. She was folding up and covering up and packing away the crystal skull. And I was just magnetized to it. And I went down on the stage where she was doing this. Couldn't help it. And I, you know, the stage is where I belong, so I'm not worried about that. And I said, can I hold it? And she said, no, but sit down and I will hold it out in front of you and you can put your hands above it. Just don't touch it. Okay. So I did. And I closed my eyes, obviously. And it was powerful. And guess what I saw? I saw this. It was like the forest, but it was the tree. And in the tree, with the moss hanging off this, I guess, evergreen tree, it's like white moss hanging down, like hair and eyes in the bark. It was an old woman. It was like the spirit of the forest. It was amazing. And I just wept. I was just like, it just blew me out of my body into another realm. It was so powerful. It was 5,000 years old.
Wow. The skull that you held your hands above was 5,000 years old? Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So your life's been packed with experiences, all metaphysical experiences. So
I know. Oh, and what I wanted to say about Barbara Marx Hubbard is here's what she said should happen after the end of the 2012 Mayan calendar.
Right.
On day 1, she said we must form, she described it as pods and a metaphysical hub all over the world. Find your people, find your tribe, form your hub, and then connect with the other ones.
Right.
Hello.
Well, everyone's doing that, and everyone should. And everyone should. Well, I'm so glad
the right name. I'm telling you. That's a.
What was that?
Yep.
What was that, Shelora? I missed that.
You've got the right name.
Thank you.
I said, you've got the right name.
Thank you.
I guess there's a lag of some kind because I'm saying something and then there's a delay before you hear it. Because
occasionally
everybody on the whole planet right now, everybody's Zooming each other.
That's right. So we're all being slowed down. It's okay.
On TV, in politics. Yeah. Am I coming through clear? I'm not breaking up.
I really enjoyed our discussion. Thank you for sharing so much with us today. And hopefully we can.
My pleasure indeed.
We can add some of your things to the profile, some of your services that you offer. I'd like you to go through the Learn page and look at the different topics there and see if you can talk a little bit about each of them, and we could have that there. That'd be really good. But you'll be able to see that when you go to the page.
The learning page?
Yeah, there's a Learn More page.
A Learn More page.
Yeah, and you can check that out.
And what do you want me to do?
Pardon me?
Do you want me to record stuff there or write stuff?
There's already stuff written there, but you can speak about it and make little videos about each topic if you like. I'll get everybody to.
And how do I do
and
that?
we can use little snippets of everyone. Make sense?
On Zoom?
Sure, on Zoom, on whatever video means you
On
want to
Zoom?
do it on by yourself. You could do it on YouTube. You could do it on whatever.
Or YouTube. So
want,
like
just by yourself.
So I could start a YouTube chat to that?
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. I'll help you.
Or, okay, have you got technical know-how? Yes?
Yes,
Have
that's
you?
my day job.
Go on, admit it.
Yes.
That's your day job.
I have technical know-how.
Excellent.
I currently
Okay.
am working for David Sarita, though, full-time. I'm his head of sales.
You still are?
Yeah. David Sarita,
Okay.
yes, I sure absolutely still am.
Good.
I know there's people saying
I know him,
that I'm
of
not,
course.
but I still am.
I don't care what people say. I care what people do, but you have to speak it into existence.
Yeah.
But also, I could probably just do a video on my iPad.
Yeah.
Because I've got an iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Which is what I'm looking at you on. I
you
also have a portal. Do you know about the portal?
On your iPad, just we'll link to them. And we'll get, you can do some and Leslie can do some.
Okay, where do they
can do some and we'll just get it going. The other section I have is Who Am I? The other section we have is Who Am I? And Who Am I is for anyone who visits who wants to share their story, their metaphysical story. So that's the plan for that.
Oh.
Because there's so many stories.
And where is this interview
going? To hear. Right?
Yeah. So where is my interview going to be posted? Where will it go?
Well, when you go on the website,
this interview.
Oh, it'll go on your profile page.
What's it under?
Under teachers, under Shelora.
So if you click on my picture.
Yeah.
If you click on my picture, it will go to my video?
It'll go to your profile, which has this video.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Shelora.
Thank you for the service
Thank you for this.
Thank you for the service you're doing to the world. You're welcome.
Thank you for the service you're doing to the world.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, dear. Bye-bye. Thank you, Shelora.
Bye-bye. Love you. Big
Love
hugs.
you. Always.
Big hugs.